Okay. Nintendo. The name alone brings up a flood of memories. For so many of us, it was our introduction into gaming. Mario jumping through pixelated pipes, Link exploring mysterious dungeons, Pokemon battles on a little handheld screen under the covers at night. Nintendo wasn't just a company, it was childhood, it was wonder, magic, fun, and family. And for decades, people have seen Nintendo as this quirky, lovable underdog in the gaming world. But here's the truth that hurts. That Nintendo doesn't exist anymore. The Nintendo we grew up with has turned into a cold, ruthless corporation. And what makes it worse is that they're not even hiding it. They're flaunting their greed as we, fans, are paying the price. Today I want to talk about why Nintendo feels so evil right now. Why they're changing absurd prices, why their consoles feel outdated yet overpriced, why they've started selling us less for more. But I also want to leave you with something deeper, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about games. It's about life. Real life. So let's start with the obvious one. The price of games. Nintendo is now charging $70 for Switch games. Let me say that again. $70 for games on a console weaker than the PS4. Think about how crazy that is. When the PS5 and Xbox Series X came out, only some first-party titles launched at $70. And even then, the gaming world exploded in anger. It was controversial. People were furious. But Nintendo, they just shrugged and said, yeah, all of our big games are $70 now. No hesitation, no justification, just blind confidence that fans would pay it. And guess what? They did pay it. And here's the kicker. The PS4 is a console that's literally more powerful than the Switch. Never once had 70 games. Yet here's Nintendo charging next-gen prices for last-gen hardware. Make it make sense. I mean, okay, sure. Tears of the Kingdom was an amazing game, had a lot of content. I can excuse that being $70 on the Switch, but why is the Mario Galaxy Collection $70 on the Switch? One of these games is 15 years old while the other is 18 years old. And they were both available for $20 each on the Wii U. Now if you want to buy them separately, it's $40 each and $70 together. Make it make sense. It's like showing up to a restaurant where the food is smaller, the portions are colder, and the service is slower, but the bill is higher because
Nintendo.
So, people stay seated. Their latest direct just really solidified these thoughts in my head. Look, I can't get over this Mario Galaxy thing. An 18-year-old and 15-year-old game. What changed in 15 years? Did the game suddenly cost more to make? Of course not. The only thing that changed was Nintendo realizing they could squeeze fans harder because they're on top of the industry right now. It's like a movie studio re-releasing a DVD from 2005 and charging Blu-ray prices for it. And some fans defend it. Well, it's Mario, so it's worth it. But no, that's not the value. That's nostalgia being weaponized against you. With fully backwards compatible consoles, a lot of the last gen games by default run a little bit better. Nintendo did provide free updates for some of their games, but for some newer titles that they know they can still use to extort fans, they decided to release paid upgrades. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a 2017 game that came out at the beginning of the Switch's lifetime. This game cost $100 Canadian. What the fuck, Nintendo? If I go on the PlayStation Store, their most expensive first-party titles that just came out this year cost $90 Canadian. Why does a 2017 game cost $100 Canadian? Nintendo is the only company that has games costing $100 in Canada. Like, sure, it's $70 like other first-party Sony and Microsoft games, but for some reason in Canada, it's $100, not $90. I don't know why the pricing in Canada is a bit different, but that's what it is. Tears of the Kingdom is $115. For God's sake, this is a Nintendo Switch game. Because it's running on Switch 2 makes it worth $115? Mario Kart World is $110. Like, what is even going on with these prices? Like, why does Kirby cost $115? Mario Park Jamboree, $115. Like, goddamn, Nintendo's the same company that was selling a 2DS with Mario Kart 7 in it for $70 US. You look at Nintendo during the Wii U era. They were humble. They weren't doing that well, so their prices were understandable. Donkey Kong Country was $50 US. It released on the Switch, became $60. It's honestly so sad that they're taking the massive success of the Switch to just squeeze and extort their fans out of everything. Like, come on. And what do you even get for these inflated prices? Almost nothing. Take Mario Party Jamboree. At launch, it ran at 1080p. Fans complained, so Nintendo eventually patched it to 1440p or 4K. great, it's sharper, but does that fundamentally change the game? Meanwhile, other companies often give free next-gen upgrades, and like, sure, Nintendo did give some free updates, but like, the fact that their games never ever drop in prices, even though Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a 12-year-old game that costs 85 Canadian dollars for some reason, it just hits even harder when the games that never drop in prices are now even more expensive than their original launch prices because we want to play them on the Switch too. Now here's a defense you always hear. Well, Nintendo has always been the cheaper option, so it's okay for them to raise their prices and make a little money here. That's not even actually true when you look closely. Like, sure, the Switch was cheaper than the PS4 and Xbox One, but the Switch was also way less powerful than those consoles. The Wii U was cheaper than the PS4 and Xbox One, but like, the Wii U was literally just a slightly more powerful PS3. So of course it was gonna be cheaper. The Wii was cheaper than the PS3 and 360, but goddamn, compared to those consoles, the Wii was a couch potato. Fun, yes. Powerful and expensive to make, definitely not. Nintendo has always cut corners on hardware, and in the past, it made sense when the prices reflected that. So I'm not complaining about that. But now, the Switch 2 is still underpowered compared to the PS5 and Series X, and yet its games are the most expensive on the market. Even the old games, even the old Switch games. And then we hit a new rock bottom with Nintendo announcing DLC for games that haven't even released yet. That's not just greedy, that's sinister. It means the content is already being planned, even finished, but instead of putting it in the base game, they're cutting it out and charging extra for it. Like, goddamn, for this new Pokemon game, if you want to have all the Mega Evolutions, which is basically the main thing they're touting with this game, you have to pay $70 for the game, $30 for the DLC, and pay for an online subscription because apparently some of the Mega Evolutions are tied to like online ranked battles. Now, here's the thing, we wouldn't care as much if this was EA or Activision or Ubisoft. These companies are notorious for this kind of stuff. But Nintendo has always been different in our minds. They were the family company, the creative company, the company that made art, not just products. That's why this stinks so badly, because deep down, a part of us still sees Nintendo as that childhood friend, that loyal buddy that's always been there, the magical place that gave us joy when we needed it the most. But here's the hard truth, that Nintendo is gone. What we have now is just another corporation dressed in nostalgia, cashing in on your memories. And this is where the life lesson comes in, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Nintendo, this is about life. Nostalgia and positive association can be a trap. Just because something made you happy once doesn't mean it deserves your loyalty forever. Whether it's products, things you buy, a restaurant you like, or even people, old friends, just because something made you happy once doesn't mean you are always obligated to stay loyal to it. But think about it, how many times does this happen in life? How many people stay in relationships that are long dead just because they can't let go of good memories? How many people stay in jobs that don't value them because they remember when things used to be better? How many of us hold on to habits, routines, or even dreams that no longer serve us, simply because they once brought us comfort? We confuse nostalgia with loyalty a lot of times. We confuse history with value, and when we do that, we let ourselves be taken advantage of. Nintendo is proof of this. They're not selling you games anymore. They're selling your childhood back to you at twice the price. And if you're not careful, you pay for it. So at the end of the day, I can't tell you what to do with your money. If you can afford the games and you feel like the games are worth it, sure, make yourself happy. But for a lot of people who feel like the games are overpriced, loyalty should be earned in the present and not assumed because of the past. And again, not even just with Nintendo games. Whether it's a friend, a company, or even yourself, you've got to look at what's happening now and decide if it's still worth it for you.